All right, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's so cool to be here for day two and see the whole new event take shape today.
Man, I was really excited to meet you today. I actually love your content. I'm talking like top five content. I love the way you analyze things. And I've been really curious. I'm really interested in the backstory of influencers.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what were you doing? What inspired you? What made you decide? I mean, you just kind of came out of nowhere in my world, actually, but I don't know how long you've been around. But tell me, like, what were you doing before? What's your journey?
I mean, I did kind of come out of nowhere. I made my first video in May of last year, 2013. And I came out of the GameStop investor space where people were doing all this digging into the financial corruption, but no one was getting the word out beyond Reddit in any meaningful way. And eventually, watching them all do all this research and learn all these things and having it stay in our bubble, I was just like getting sick of waiting for someone to do something. And I realized that I had a lot of the skill sets from my background in teaching and other jobs where it's like,
You were a teacher at one point.
yeah, I had a bunch of funny, cool teaching jobs when I was younger. And so I had a lot of experience like communicating ideas and doing research and knowing how to learn things and knowing how to like share things in a way that's digestible for people. And so eventually I just was like, fuck it, I'll do it. And I started on TikTok and built a huge following on TikTok very quickly because TikTok allows that if you get lucky and do well. And then when I branched out to all the other platforms, that's how I kind of like came in and took over really quickly because I was coming in with like 1 million followers behind me already.
Wow. So, what inspired you to do that style? And also, second part of that question, you do some stuff that people would be very scared to do. And I don't know if that's saying much because it seems like we're living in a very fear-based culture, but you are a very brave man. So tell me about that.
What inspired me to do the style of videos that I do as my format is the way I perceive learning and teaching is based in the fact that teaching is not about telling someone information. Teaching is about creating the environment within which they will be led to discover information for themselves. And it depends on the kid or the person, the adult, whoever is like what kind of environment they need. Some people need a lot of leeway to like explore and experiment, and some people really need the steps laid out. But that's fundamentally, it's about providing that, not providing information, like not providing answers. And so at first I wasn't really thinking of it in that frame. And when I sat down to make my very first video, it kind of clicked of like, wait a minute, you're thinking about this all wrong. And I also realized how little I knew once I started thinking about how do I talk about this idea on camera. It's like, wait a minute, I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I should just learn. Yeah. And so I started documenting essentially my process of learning. And that is the ultimate, because then you're starting to share your sources, you're starting to share the information in its base layer and share your conjectures, and you kind of invite people into that learning process.
What you just said, by the way, is so brilliant because I've been trying to figure out what it is about your approach I like so much, and you hit the nail on the head. See, in art, there's this thing where you don't see the shades of gray, right? And the fact that you're learning while you're actually doing it is the authenticity, and it just makes it really, really cool.
And what you're saying about like how the background of influencing works too. This is a key point for anyone that wants to be an influencer. Is when you're small, like humans are very tuned into social proofing and like cultural. And so when you're small and you don't have social credit from having a lot of followers, it's really important that you don't try to come across as being like an authority, even if you have a PhD. If you don't have a lot of followers, you need to act like you're a nobody, because to most humans, whether this is good or not, it's just how we are. They'll see you as uncredentialed. And so starting from the learner's perspective was strategic and intentional, not only because it's the right thing to do and it's like the right way for me to present, like to ensure I'm always learning, but also to strategically present myself in a way that people will be able to hear me and not just be like, who the fuck is this guy? You know what I mean?
Sorry. So now take me through your journey. You're a normal dude, I'm sure. At one point in your life, you're just a regular guy roaming this earth, thinking that it's, more or less the earth's okay. Take me through your journey of what happened, your eyes opening. What was the straw that broke the camel's back? What was the big bang on your head that was like, dude, I need to do this? Because I know it takes a lot of motivation to do this sort of thing. To come out there and expose yourself. And most people have to go through some traumatic thing. That's one thing I've noticed with a lot of people that are in this game, like an Elon Musk, daughter has a sex change, or son, he wants to get rid of the woke mind virus. It becomes more important to him than money, life itself. Tell me about yours.
You know, the way you frame that question just made me think of a point I haven't actually included in this answer before, but it is it's the part of this answer. And it starts with my health and my health journey. Seeing as this is a Maha thing right here, and seeing as I'm wearing my Food Not Pharma shirt, it kind of started when I was 17, like 15, 16, 17, going through puberty. And my mom has Crohn's disease and it has nearly died multiple times, has like parts of her intestine have been removed. So I've seen that growing up in a big way. And when I was in my teen years, she found a dietary solution to it because nothing had ever helped. She was on like 48 pills a day or something and still horrible health. And she started changing her diet to cut out all these processed foods to essentially eat real food. And she went down to like a couple vitamins and 2 pills a day. And so I had seen that work for her. And simultaneously, because a lot of those autoimmune diseases flare during puberty, and I was starting to get all these symptoms that suddenly it clicked of like, holy shit, you have whatever that is. And it's not even diagnosed because doctors don't even know what the fuck is going on. And I just was like, I'm not even going to, like, the doctors, I went for a little bit to them and they just clearly had no answers for me. And so I just, one day, it got really bad and I was in the hospital and I just called my mom and was like, hey, can you please bring me diet food tomorrow? Meaning like food that is of the, like in this way. And then I just like from 17 to 22, 21, it was like just strictly this extremely restrictive, healthy, like no complex carbohydrates, just like meat, fruit, vegetables, nuts, like all homemade foods. And it just like everything cleared up and went away. And I felt this experience of having realizing that I actually had never felt healthy in my life. And for the first time, and I was the same height I am now, but 50 pounds lighter. And so I didn't even realize how weak and unhealthy I felt until I felt good. And that just like kickstarted this thought process of like, that's all a lie. And that set me up to be ready so that when COVID came around, when the 2020 election came around, when BLM came around, I was ready because I was raised Democrat. And so at that point, I was ready to think more critically, and I did. And those were the points that actually like snapped the whole thing and toppled that house of glass, so to speak. But it was the health thing that prepared me to think for myself and to see through one of the biggest veils there is. And then also, once you get healthy, you're far more apt to stand for yourself too, to be strong, to be like independent. So
now, is this your full-time thing, like making content that really exposes what's going on?
Yeah, it's my full-time job. And so to your other question before this, one day I was an Uber Eats driver and an ultramarathon guide. So just like kind of gig work to pay the bills while trying to start something. And then I kind of honed in on what I would do and I made my first video and I immediately took off. And it was after 1 month of TikTok ad revenue that I realized how significant this was and how much this could support me. And I'd quit everything else and was just full-time ever since.
So tell me, what are, you could name 1 to 5 things. What are the things right now that are destroying this country that need to be fixed based upon all the research and experience you've had?
Good questions. In no particular order, the poison in the food and the capture of that whole industry, the poison of free speech and the capture of that whole industry, the purchasing of science and the capture of that whole industry, in line with freedom of speech is the capturing of the media and the feeding of disinformation, division, and hatred into our political spaces, and the demoralization and destruction of gender roles and of the nuclear family and of just a rational conversation around family and gender that is not extreme to either side, but rather just like it's okay to be like, we're all people, it's okay to be loving. Like those 5 camps, I think, are probably the biggest ones. And I leave out war intentionally because if we were to solve all those, we could have a rational conversation about warfare and we would all be able to meet in the middle and speak as adults. But these are all like problems at home that prevent us from even addressing all these other problems. I guess I should probably say the border too, because like, let's be real, that's a fucking problem. But yeah.
All right. So as somebody that's very informed, man, and I want your brutal honesty, man. No, gloves off type of thing. Where do you think this is going? What's your future prediction of what's to come and where this is all going?
I'm not that informed. Let's be clear. I'm informed on what I've researched, but there's so much I don't know. But my perspective is I see 3 paths forwards. I was just talking about this at breakfast. One path forwards, my most optimistic path forwards is Trump and this whole team wins Trump is sincere in his desire to change things differently than last time in terms of like having RFK and Tulsi appointing a bunch of cabinet members, and they're actually making sweeping changes, and they address things like human trafficking and the wokeness and the food and the health and the capture. That's ideal. Middle road is Trump and this team wins, but he is not entirely sincere, and he's kind of just like working his way in, and they aren't really taking it seriously, and they don't really do anything different than last time, and it gets pretty captured, and we kind of get a half-baked version of the Trump administration just like last time. And then the worst case scenario is that they win, but there's some sort of subversion, interference, weird vote counts in the middle of the night, who knows, and actually they put Kamala in, and Lord knows what happens at that point, and it is not a good picture. And I really hope we don't go down that road.
Right, for viewers that want to go down that road, check out the episode with Ivan Raiklin.
That's what we're talking about. I'll let Ivan do the talking down that road. Let's just say have a plan, you know.
Food, water.
Yeah, be thoughtful. Take good care of your family. Don't do anything stupid.
So the long term, brother. Where do you see the long term? I mean, what is your goals, aspirations with what you want to do in your life? Are you happy being a content creator, influencer for the long run? Do you see yourself running for office? Do you see your nonprofits? I mean, where do you see yourself? Like, you know, like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now?
My 5 and 20-year goal space is to revolutionize the education system. To bring, how do I put this into a really short bite? Learning happens where attention is focused, right? And that used to be controllable within a classroom setting or something, but now attention is obviously focused on the screens. And I knew that as a teacher, and I saw that, and I knew for a long time that if you really want to be an educator in a modern way, you have to be inside of these things. And so this is an outgrowth of that, is I'm establishing myself in this space how it is now, and my hope is to sort of co-opt the influencer culture of today by reminding us, by showing us all that we have an immensely important responsibility as people in the public eye, where we can be just what influencers are today, of just like, get the views, get the money, you know, do your thing, be an individual, whatever. Or you can realize that you're paving the path for everyone else that's growing up below you, everyone else in your generation that looks up to you. You're showing how we can be men, how we can be women. You can be educators for not just adults, but children of the next generation. And if we can create some form of teacher education platform on the internet to teach influencers how to educate specifically.
So you're basically replacing the Department of Education with this backdoor
a decentralized online homeschool resource platform, essentially. And there's no one solution to this, but there's a million ways we can use the internet to get people in my position prepared and organized into different spaces where, like, imagine, for example, you have an online accredited situation where there's different camps, where there's classes you can sign up for, where there's influencers that run courses, where kids are selecting what they want to learn, they're engaging with various people on the internet, with various communities, and then you have resources teaching parents how to homeschool effectively. You're teaching on the ground leaders how to like create small school situations. All of this can be done for so much cheaper than the current public education system. And if we can show a model where it works, and we can reroute all this federal funding that's going to the Department of Education to some sort of decentralized model, the world is ours. Because we don't need this industrial revolution slave creation model. We need a free thinking, encouraging young people to follow their passions, to be themselves, and because like passion is the most powerful driver of learning. And the whole point of the current school system is to destroy our passions and to beat you into submission so that you can sustain in one of these horrible jobs your whole life.
I got to give an example here, man. I used to love creative writing, and my teachers told me the worst, like they told me that this is not the place for you. You need to get into some art school. You know, because it kills your creativity. It's so sad.
Yeah, because they need that, because most of the jobs in today's America need people to just be kind of mindless drones that are happy doing nothing their whole lives. And partially that sucks, even if that's the system. So I would hope we can break as many people free of that as possible. But the more important part is that the coming system, based with AI and technology and robots and all this shit that's replacing all those jobs, we need people to be ready for creative futures, for inspired futures. Like now, you can make a career out of anything. Because like, yeah, the robots will replace the dumb job that you didn't want to do, but there's all these other economies that open up, because there will always be an economy, because people have value they're creating, and they want to spend it on value. And what's most valuable to humans is other humans, is human interaction, is inspiration, creativity, engagement and things. And so we need to be preparing young people. Young people need to be preparing themselves to be ready to fill roles that we don't even know what they are yet. And the best driver of what they will be is what are humans collectively passionate about as young people today, because that's what people are going to want to be engaging with tomorrow. Right?
Department of Education, is it like in this plan, basically it's about erasing the Department of Education too? Do you see that as anything fixable, or does it just have to go?
I don't think I'm necessarily educated enough to know for sure, but I know that what we need now in order to break free of the current system is we need to create an independent model that runs independently and is a million times more efficient, a million times more successful, where the kids are coming out more successful, they're going in happier, coming out happier, and it runs on its own and is like 1,000 times cheaper. Like if you can create an alternative that is like a Bitcoin, for example, where it's like it runs on its own and you can see the proof of concept. I mean, and hopefully you can create a model where it doesn't like and is not manipulable. But you know what I mean? It's like if you can make it run while the Department of Education is still happening, and you can just see like, oh, this one sucks ass, and that one's amazing. Then it's not necessarily that you need to burn this one down or replace it. It just naturally needs to evolve, or it will die. Right? So basically, make the Department of Education obsolete rather than focusing on like going after it. Just make it obsolete and move past it.
This is amazing, man. This has actually been a great education, dude. I really appreciate you coming on. This is our Blood Money podcast, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. Where we say what we need to because there's a lot of horrible things going on.